Hey, Bob.
Hey there, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well today.
All right. Um, I've known you for over 25 years. We've been friends. You've also been my mentor in real estate since I started in 2006. You were there answering my questions when my big bucket agency would not give me the time of day. If it wasn't for you, I probably would have quit. So thank you. Now, I know you, but let's give everybody else a chance to get to know you better too. I have a few questions.
Okay.
How long have you been in real estate, and what made you decide to make this amazing career change?
I got into real estate in 2003. I had been in IT for 17 years, and I survived 6 layoffs, but I knew at some point they were going to come for me. And there were people who had much bigger IT careers than me who were now selling jewelry at JCPenney. And I knew I needed to do something different. At the time, I had a family member, my mother, buying a house, and she could not remember one house from the other. So I started making little designs on the computer with the layout of the house, and I'd put the pictures where so she would remember where the house, what the house looked like. I would take the pictures off the MLS and put them into the diagram, and so she'd remember the house. And her realtor, who was also a friend of mine, said, "Oh my God, Bob, you could do something with that. You need to get your license." That was like, oh, well, maybe I should do this someday. And that was the genesis of me getting into real estate. I took my exam. I applied to Keller Williams. I'm the only person Keller Williams would not hire. Um, and I went there because, my friend was there. Of course, that's what you do. And they told me that until I quit my full-time job and burned all my bridges, I would never be successful in real estate. And
Well,
so that obviously didn't happen. I called another friend of mine who was Deb Elder, who ran a very small brokerage in Oak Lawn. And I said, "Hey, I'd just love to talk to you." And she's like, "Bob, I've known you forever. Come on down. Let's talk." And she was my first mentor in real estate, who set me on the trajectory of having my certifications and my broker's license and everything to really launch into a larger career. And I always thank her for that.
yeah, I love Deb. She's helped a lot of people along the way. Yeah. When did you decide it was time for you to build a team?
About 2 years in, I had for me at the time, a large listing, and I was kind of like, oh my gosh, what do I do? The price point's so high, and what I didn't realize was it's just like selling any other house. But I reached out to another person in the agency, and we worked together on that. And what I realized was I was generating a lot of leads and a lot of energy around my business, and I couldn't handle it all because I was finishing out my IT career, committing to this full time. It took about 2 years for me to do that transition. And I realized I also love to share. I love to talk to people. I love to say, "Oh, I know that. Let me help you." And it just kind of naturally ended up that I started having people gravitate to me who didn't have that camaraderie or didn't have that trust where they were working. And of course, you and I, like you said, we've known each other since '93. You were down in Houston starting your career
92.
I'm sorry,
92.
'92. Well, with age, I forget things. So you were down in Houston starting your career at Keller Williams, and we're not getting the support you needed from your mentor. And of course, I'll tell you, you call me, I'll pick up the phone. And that's just how it kind of happened. People started gravitating to me because I was very open and sharing with my information. And I love learning. So I was always going off and getting more information to bring back and hand off to people. And it just kind of naturally grew into that sharing. And that's how I run the brokerage now. I want a brokerage where everybody feels comfortable sharing something. Nobody created the first postcard. Nobody created the first sign in the yard. Share what you have. I don't want to hire divas who are like, "Oh, I'm not talking to her because she's going to steal it from me." We've all needed help from time to time. Be that's the culture I want, is a culture of sharing and a culture of collaboration.
I know, I'm in Houston, and you and your team were in Dallas at the time. You were just starting your team. You were with William Davis Realty at the time, and they just
Mhm.
happened to be a part of the MLS here, and I joined, and you still weren't getting a dime from anything I did at that point. You had spent a year mentoring me, answering my questions, not getting a dime, and I joined being the only agent down here in Houston, and I was successful because I had you, and I had other people who were you adding to the team, we were all sharing information, and you encouraged education, which I took. Listen, 12 designation ends. I don't take it lightly. I go after that education because I feel like it makes me better, and that's something you and I share. We're
Yes.
both about sharing the information. Listen, you can give everybody the information. They just have to know how to implement it. And we try to, I know you and I, we try to help all the agents implement everything we put out there, not just say, here's, just do this. Tell them why, and you help them understand.
You and I have always been on a quest for what's next. Whether we were getting into Active Rain, whether we were getting our GRIs, our CRSs, brokers licensing, what's next? And what I had to learn was what's next is not always going to be inside the realtor organization. I used to have like this huge quest to have the most education hours ever, and I do. Last time I checked, I was like out of my class of brokers, I was 5th in education. I actually paid somebody on Fiverr to go check and validate that. But I've also kind of jumped outside the realtor organization and gone to places like Tom Ferry International and gone to some of these other organizations that teach me things that affect real estate, but don't get me a merit badge that I can sew on and say, here, I got this, and it's a realtor merit badge. And I'm okay with that now, because what I'm learning is it's not just the disciplines of being a real estate agent, which are important. It's the disciplines of being a business person. It's the disciplines of being a person who's always open to learning and is never the type of person who says, I've been in the business 30 years and I know it all. No, I've been in the business since 2003 and I can learn something today.
Right. Now you mentioned,
you and I have that same
yeah,
search for what's next. That's what
yeah.
led us to Matterport. That's what's leading us deep into social media. That's what's leading us into what's next. I don't want to work at a stolid company that's just always done things with a fax machine. They're one of our competitors. Their big claim to fame is we were the first company to install fax machines in every office, and they still have that on their website, that was their claim to fame. And I'm like, yeah, what have you done since 1983?
Yeah,
What?
we both adapt quickly to change,
Yeah.
and we basically embrace it.
Yeah.
When change is coming, we embrace it. We don't fight against it because we know it's going to happen with or without us. So we tend to embrace it and move quickly with it,
Right.
leaving lots of people behind, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So now you mentioned your Tom Ferry coach.
Yeah.
How has that impacted the way you do business and how you build your team?
And you were part of this. Thank you for being part of this. I ran the brokerage as an independent brokerage for 5 years. For the first 5 years, our numbers were pretty much plateaued. We turned in 57, 59, 58, 57, 59 deals. The first 5 years, we did the same year over and over again. And it was you and me and one of our other agents who's been with us forever. And I called us all together and said, what is it? Why can't we break this number? And I knew that other brokerages had something I didn't. And I did start doing brokerage workshops where I had 15 of my real estate friends come over and say, look at what we're doing. How do we shake this up? And they didn't have an answer either. And I went to a Tom Ferry event in town. I had heard of Tom Ferry. I'd heard of Mike Ferry, who's his father. And I went to this Tom Ferry event here in Plano. And I walked in with the idea that, I'm not going to buy this. I'm just going to write down every idea and run out the door and steal it. And on the third day, I was so intrigued. I was like, here's my credit card. I think you can charge me. Because, the debt was high. And because I'm running a company and I'm running everything up and I'm not saving my money. I went into there and I got my first coach myself, and we doubled the company. And we paid down the debt. And we started structuring the company in a better way so that I could run a payroll and I could recruit. And I have now been in coaching going into my 7th year. My first year in coaching, my coach looked at me and said, hey, every time you and I talk, you turn around to the staff and you do exactly, you mentor the staff just like I'm mentoring you. Would you like to be considered? We're hiring. And it was one of those phone calls, you just look at the phone and say, yes, without thinking about the answer, just yes, I'll do that. And so I'm starting my 5th year in coaching. I get so much energy off of watching people take their idea of a career and blossoming it out. I get so much energy off of that. Plus, I'm now in the ecosystem of the probably the top 7,000 agents in the country, and certainly in the top. Tom Ferry is the largest coaching company in real estate. the top company that's helping people get through a COVID crisis, helping business leaders get through what should be a horrible market and having their best years ever.
And
So
we are having our best year ever. It's 2020,
we
and we
are.
are having our best year
We
ever.
are. And I give a lot of credit to that from me. Now, I have one-on-ones with all my agents in Texas Pride Realty Group, so that I'm doing for you what I do for these coaching clients. You get me just because I'm here. So it's a matter of, I have found a stream of learning and knowledge, and I can take a little part of that water and divert it to us, and really hope that it helps grow a good harvest for us.
Yes. I mean, I say it's really changed the way we do business a lot. I mean, I think we're a completely different team, and we have a completely different mindset than we used to.
One of the things Tom will tell us is that what got us here will not get us there. The engine that got us to this point will not get. So you know this, I'm always breaking down a process or changing how we're doing something to see if that influences how we do better or how we don't do better. And I think just having me be in that group of people and then coming around and saying, okay, here's what I learned, is beneficial to the whole group of Texas Pride Realty.
I agree. Now, what kind of agents do you look for when adding to our team?
One, culture. The culture is important. I want people who embrace diversity. I want people who are open to learning, not closed-minded. And we all have our moments of turning down an opinion and then having to rethink, oh, well, maybe that was the right opinion. But just not being closed-minded, who are in alignment with our goals of growth, who want to bring in a minimum of $3 million a year. I used to not have production standards, and now I do. If you work for us, I want you to be growing to $3 million a year. That should be a $90,000 gross commission before split.
And don't stop there.
Huh?
And they don't need to stop there.
You don't need to stop there. If $90,000 is not enough for you, let's just sell more houses.
Going.
For $3 million a year, that's basically 10 houses in the Dallas market right now.
Right.
That's less than one a month. And that's not hard to hit. So let's see if we can get more than that. But I do have minimums to work for us. And not a lot of companies do. A lot of companies just want to run your credit card and say, hey, stay here for a while. So it's culture, it's open-mindedness, it's production standards, and it's professionalism. I want to be the type of brokerage that we are so far above board, no one ever questions what we do is wrong or right. I'm the type of person that other brokers call to say, hey, our brokerage has an issue. This is what happened. I sit on the Texas Association of Realtors Professional Standards Committee, so I'm always involved in code of ethics issues. When somebody gets in trouble, I'm one of the people who can sit on the panel and go, yeah, that was a problem, or no, actually, you were right. So sometimes I see things coming down the pike, and I can turn us in a different direction and say, hey, we are not going to ever do X, Y, or Z again, or we never did, but we're never going to do it, because here's a potential ethics issue.
Right.
I want us to be that level of real estate brokerage that people look at us and go, oh, they know what they're talking about. I can't pull crap on them with my client. I can't try to talk them into something they shouldn't do, because Texas Pride Realty Group does not play that game.
We do not fly by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I will say that we do not fly by the seat of our pants. We're not guessing. We're not walking a fine line.
I can flop the rule book down on the table,
use your
look
head,
to the page, and point to you and say, here's the rule.
Here's the rule. We like to play by the rules. And you and I, back in the day, used to play games all the time, whether it was Monopoly or Canasta, and knowing the rules is how you win the game. Yeah. And we're both very competitive that way. So you're choosing your new agents, and we don't necessarily, we want everyone to do at least $3 million a year, but you also invest your time in people who aren't quite there yet and help them get there. And you don't, and you see their potential, and your goal is to help them reach their potential. And one of the things that often stands out to me is that when an agent isn't quite reaching their goal, you look to yourself and says, instead of saying, what can they do better? You ask yourself, what can I do better for them?
Right.
What other lead or broker does that?
I honestly don't know of any, but if and I'm sure there's some out there, but I'm just saying, if you come from a position of mentorship and you come from a position of coaching, I don't know everything. I can never know everything. There's no way. Somebody is always helping me learn. And so I'm going to turn around and help other people learn. Yes, we have a production goal. We have a production goal for everybody, but I will help the person struggling. I will help the person who needs ideas. I will help. How many times have you sat on a helpline because you can't get something to work? And you know that if just one person told you to click this little switch, everything else would work and you could do your whole job. That's what I find a lot of people held back by. They don't know how to make the one thing work, whether it's a contract issue, whether it's an advertising issue, whether it's whatever. If I can help you flip that one click and get you on to the next step, great. Instead of having you sitting there frustrated, not able to do it. Now, there's a difference between that and not having the drive. Some people don't have the drive. Bless them, that's fine. They're just going to buy Zillow leads for the rest of their life and pay somebody else to do the work, and then they're going to wonder why they're giving up so much of their commission. I don't tend to go that way. I want people who are driven, who wake up every morning and go, I have an amazing why. We'll talk about what your why is. I have an amazing why, and I'm going to break my ass every day and get up and go work for it. And that's, if somebody has that, I will walk miles to help you.
Yeah, you often talk about teaching people to fish.
Yes.
Yeah, and we learned, or especially especially me down here in Houston, go get our leads ourselves, to go out there and make it happen. And I found it very difficult to understand those agents who wait for someone else to feed it to them. I don't comprehend that. I comprehend that they feel like it's easier, but I feel like I'm building something.
Right.
Whereas instead of having something given to me, I feel like, and the truth is, you kind of work a little harder to make the same money if you're having someone feed you.
You're not in charge of your business.
Right.
Okay, there's 8 levels of being an agent. I won't run you through all of them right now, but basically level 2 is you get a deal here, you get a deal there. You know, your mom bought a house, your sister had a friend, but it's kind of like catching fireflies at night. And you catch one and you catch another, but at 9:30 at night when the fireflies go away, you have no control over your business because you can't get the fireflies to come back. You were never in charge of the fireflies. You just caught the randoms. Okay, you need to learn to get to level 3 where you mechanize your lead sources, you put a quarter in the gumball machine, you turn the dial, you get the gumball. You need to learn how to work your sphere of influence, how to work your social media, how to work your everything around you, and not be paying a ton of money to these lead sources that are just ripping you off. Okay, yes, they're valuable in some sense, but they should be only like a small percentage of your business. Your rest of your business should come from your sphere of influence and the people they know. And to your point, yes, we have to train people to be independent business people. What I find in coaching lots of people is they're like, well, I don't want to seem salesy. I don't want to call and seem like a sales. What does it say on your license? Salesperson.
Exactly.
You took courses and took a test to become a salesperson. Let's act like one, but in a kind, respectful way. You don't have to sell, hey, I'm Steve, I want to sell you a Buick. It doesn't have to be that. It just has to be natural from you. I like to also look at the real estate transaction as I'm not here to sell you a house. I'm here to be your advocate. I'm here to be your defense attorney in the transaction.
You're handling what is most likely their largest investment.
Largest transaction ever, yeah.
And I know you and I take that very seriously.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know a lot of agents often want to go out and start their own agency. You've always have told everyone on our team, including myself, when you're ready, I will tell you how to do it.
Yeah, I'll share with you everything I did so you make better mistakes. I want to go to your ribbon cutting and be there and be like, yeah, congratulations. I don't see us as competitors. I see us as collaborators in the same industry. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And finally, what do you want your legacy to be when you, if you retire from real estate, I
want to leave this industry with people who do my job better than I do. I want to leave this industry with people who are dedicated to the profession, dedicated to helping others, dedicated to helping their clients. If I can do that, then I will have been successful. The numbers are great. The money is great. If I can leave the legacy of other people going, damn, what would Bob say? That would be what I want.
I think you're achieving that goal.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. Now I know you. Now a whole bunch of other people will get to know you as well.